Thank you for joining us live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Our guest today is Carlos Ribero. Thank you very much for being here.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And you're with nextMEDIA Digital.
Right.
What is nextMEDIA Digital? Tell us about it and how you got into that.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. There's always a story. I've been a marketer basically all my life, and marketing is for some people it's hard to explain. And I'll give you an example of that. When I was going to school for marketing, my grandfather would ask me, "What are you studying?" And I'd say marketing. And he'd say, "What's that?" Because back then they only understood doctor, engineer, lawyer, basically. So that's what happened. So the way I explain marketing nowadays is, I love this definition of it: find a need and fill it. That's it. Find a need and fill it. So what we do at nextMEDIA is, it's mostly in the digital space, even though we do some traditional marketing, but we take a little different approach in that, I'm blessed to have had a long career working with Fortune 500 companies. So what I like to say is that, we deliver Fortune 500 marketing to small business.
So how does a small business who's, whatever business they're in, they're doing pretty well at creating that product, and they have their customers, and they want to grow to the next step. Typically, when you walk in and you talk with somebody, where are they at on average as far as how to get where they think they want to get?
It's an interesting question because every company and every situation is different. But what I can tell you is, from a marketing perspective, small businesses right now anyway are having trouble navigating that space. Why? Because this business of marketing and digital marketing in particular changes, I'm not exaggerating, by the minute. I'm in the business and it's difficult for me to keep up. The other thing is that they just don't have time. They're doing what they do, and a lot of them do it very well. So they really don't have time to keep up with today's digital marketing and really any marketing at all.
It is difficult. And as you know, our family has been involved in this for many years. And in the old model, which was newspapers, you could be 3, 4, 5 years behind. Today, you can't be 3, 4, 5 months behind. And I think a perfect example is that Facebook reigned the world for a while. This small little company called TikTok came in the United States a few years ago, and they are now a major player in just a couple of years,
Yep.
Right? And here in the United States, and people are making lots of money doing it, right? And there's internet influencers that are there, and people are saying, "Well, how do I get involved?" So remember 6 months ago, you told me you didn't want to be on there. What's causing you to look at that now? And so getting back to what you originally said is, to be able to tell your story and to find a need. So these companies are saying, "I don't know what to do." So you go to them and you say, "Okay," here, and talking with them, say, "Here's some things you could do."
Right. So the first thing, obviously, I have to take an assessment of where they are. And let's say they're doing basically nothing. One of them is really almost an attitudinal change of the way they're doing business. So I'll even go and look at their operations. And one company, for example, I would walk in and they'd be watching ESPN and things like that. So, I mean, a great company, but they weren't really aggressive in pursuing new business. So if it's a small business, the first thing usually is what I tell them is to get your house in order and then start getting reviews, because reviews really give you a great bang for your buck.
And these are proven that it's factual. This is not like a made up thing. This is, when you have reviews, people relied on reviews, such as testimonials on QVC, and they go in there, "Hey, I use this widget and my teeth started shining," and blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty important.
Very important. And it's interesting how even that has evolved. I'll admit it, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, somebody who doesn't get their way can go in there and just give you a horrible review. And that's happened to some of my clients. But there's ways to deal with that. So first, get your reputation in order.
I was noticing, I frequently, when I'm on Facebook, because we do a lot of work there, I'll like some stuff because I want to see how they follow up on it, and they do quite frequently. And if people, there's somebody from the company that's always responding to people's comments. So even the ones that say something bad, there's a response to it. So you know that that somebody's there from the company that's paying attention. And I think that's important for the average business to understand that if you don't take care of somebody, right, you're going to have a problem.
Well, that's another thing is you should always answer your reviews, good or bad. Appreciate them for taking the time to leave your review. And if it's a not so favorable review, you know what, maybe that's pointing to operational issues. And the one thing I tell people when they get a bad review, don't get defensive. You know, just tell your side of the story and, you know, offer to resolve the issue if you can.
I think a perfect example, we ordered some food. We went and picked it up. We get the food back. And we're sort of lamenting how much the food costs. Then after about 10 minutes, my wife says, I didn't order any of this food. She calls the company. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. You're the one that got the other person's order. I am so sorry. Well, we're going to come pick it up. Excuse me. She didn't charge us for anything. And I'm thinking, how good is that? All right. And they gave us extra food. I apologize. This is this. And it's a way to take care of customers. On the other hand, we had some work done. The guy says, I'll be back on Monday. I didn't ask him which Monday.
That was your mistake then, huh?
Boy, that was a mistake. All right. Because all he had to do was come back and do the little stuff. And it was the little stuff that mattered because that's what made the difference in this job. So what I realized that he must treat people like that all the time.
So here's the next thing. This is I've kind of branded this year the year of customer and lead nurture. And what do I mean by that? Just what you said. Just by showing up and setting expectations and filling those expectations, you're way ahead of this game, especially in this town. We have, you know, the trades, a lot of the trades have bad reputations in this town just because of that, because you don't know which Monday it is when they tell you I'll be there on Monday.
Yes.
But if you nurture your clients, and there are automated ways to nurture your clients, you know, for example, once you do a job for them, send them a thank you package. You know, I have one client that sends cookies, pays $100 for a referral. So those kinds of things just bring you more business.
There's a gentleman, it was Dr. Padron from Miami-Dade College, spent his entire career there, or most, not entire, but most of his life there. And we did a special section honoring him and Miami-Dade College, that he sent a hand note to everybody that advertised.
That's a nice touch.
All right. It said, and because we, quote, made the average say, thank you very much, Dr. Padron, for your years of dedication. And he wrote a hand note to them. Very impressive. All right. And I didn't get the note, but I tell you what, I'm impressed. All right. That somebody would do that.
Those are the things that make you stand out. You know, writing a handwritten note, it's a lost art, and few do it. So anything, and that's the marketing game is really, I tell people, you don't have to be better. You just have to be different. So if you're different, you're going to stand out.
So when you started off saying, excuse me, I'm so sorry. People want to tell their story. And so often that's what it is. And even if you watch American Idol and all those, they'll say to the young person, what's your story? And then they typically a sad or happy story. So many people want to do that. So when you go into the small businesses that are out there and the medium-sized and large, there's a story to be told there. You have somebody that you represent, Raise the Roof, right? What a great story about them. Would you like to share with us a little bit about them?
Sure. This is an organization formed, a nonprofit organization formed by City Roofing. They're a local roofing contractor. And what they do is each and every year, we go through a voting process, first a nomination process, a voting process, and they put a free roof on somebody's home each and every year. Obviously, you have to qualify. You have to have a hardship, whether it's medical, financial, et cetera. And one year, actually, the COVID year, we ran into two people that just needed it so badly. And the owners decided, you know what, we can't look the other way here. So they put on 2 roofs that year. And you know, our goal is to continue to put on more roofs every year.
So when that story gets told, it warms my heart thinking about that and all the things that that we can help people do. And I wanted to share with you, at Christmas time, I had some gifts, and you probably have heard the story, to give to some kids. And I said, you know what, I'm going to stop off the Salvation Army. I'm going to drop them off there. But who knew they weren't open at 6 o'clock during the week, right? And I said, okay. So I go to McDonald's over here to get some coffee. And there's a gentleman that was trying to squeeze in before me. And I said, go ahead. All right. So he goes ahead, and I go to pay for my coffee, and he had paid for my coffee. And I was very, I went, wow, that was really cool. And then I drive up to the window to pick up my coffee, and I'm looking in my seat, and there are the 6 gifts for the kids. And I looked at this little lady there at 5:30 in the morning. I'm imagining, she's got 4 kids at home. Maybe she's married, maybe she's not. I said, hold on a second. And I gave her those 6 gifts.
Wow.
All right. And it all started just for being nice, just for letting somebody in. And every day I see her. All right. She doesn't recognize me because it was really dark.
Right.
And I look at it, and I'm trying to imagine what that meant to her, that some guy gave her these gifts, all right, for her kids. And so when the company, it's called City
Roofing
does that, the impact that it makes, not just on the people working for City Roofing, but that impact for that family and the neighbors, that there's so many good things in life that we have to offer and that we can do.
Absolutely.
So you had mentioned earlier about, find a need and fill it. And when we look what McDonald's and Burger King did starting, 50 years ago, they said, here, family outing, come here, you can play with the kids and have French fries and milkshakes and everything. Well, that need changed over the years. People said, we're not going to eat inside anymore. As a matter of fact, over 80 some odd % of the food at both of those places is through the drive-through.
Yeah.
And so our needs change. And when we think about what keeps us occupied during that 2 to 3 minute wait or 5 minute wait, is we have so many things we can play with today that we didn't have 20 years ago. And we see that the waits aren't as bad as they used to be, as far as on our psyche. But when somebody is trying to invent something, how do they go through the process? What can we create that somebody wants? And then what do we have to do to fill it? How do you walk them through that?
Okay, so one of the best things about this new digital age is your ability to test things, whether it's concepts, advertising itself, at a very low cost. So how did it used to be? When I used to work with these Fortune 500 companies, they would spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands testing products, and then testing commercials, and then test the content of those commercials, and then putting those commercials on air as a test. Hundreds of thousands of dollars went out the door.
And months and months.
And months and months and months. So now what happens? Now for hundreds of dollars, you can run very similar tests and know if a product has some traction or is going to have traction, know if certain features are going to work or not work. So that's the beauty of it. So you test, when you have an idea, you have to test that idea and, to see if it's going to have legs.
And when somebody inquires with you, you can help them find prospects by virtue when you put up those ads, all right, to test it, and people respond whatever way that it is. And there are allied things that are connected to that maybe they didn't want to do the first thing, but maybe they do the second thing. For instance, we were looking for some chairs, all right? So everybody in the chair business made it available to me wherever I didn't want it, but it was there all the time.
Right.
Then I got an interesting one, full patches for your chairs, all right? So in case you had a chair that only had a little hole in it, they sell this thing for $50. Then you got to cut it out and glue it on. You hope that it works for a month, right?
Yeah.
But they found a need. Somebody needed a chair.
Yeah.
And they said, well, maybe they don't need a whole chair, right? But they knew, based on the type of chair I was looking for, what to send me, which was a black material that would fit over office chairs like the ones we're sitting in. And it's incredible. So you're able to do that for people.
Sure. So how many times have you said to yourself, Michael, I wish I would have thought of that. But first I want to go back to Burger King and McDonald's, because one of the things in digital marketing that you do online is the upsell. They are the masters at the upsell. Would you like some fries with that? So, that's something now you can do in automated fashion. As people who bought this also bought this. that you get on Amazon all the time and wherever it is you shop. So when you run a campaign, there are certain components that are going to define its success. And you know, you can take these in any order, but one is the offer itself. That has nothing to do with digital marketing. That has, you know, you got to put an attractive offer out there. Then it's the audience, right? You have to choose the right audience, and that's what digital marketing allows you to do. Is you can really precisely target audiences, and you can get down to, you know, you can get very granular. Then it's the ad itself, and so the ad itself has several components. You have, for Facebook, I'm talking, you've got either an image or a video, you've got a headline, and you've got the body copy or the main text of the ad, right? And then you have, you know, your budget, of course, and Facebook always wants you to spend more money, but that is part of it.
So if a lot of small businesses, including ourselves, typically need help in handling incoming leads and incoming phone calls or however they are. Do you also assist the local business in how they handle the incoming lead?
You know, that's a great question, and I'm glad you answered that, because oftentimes when I work with a small business, I'll go in, they cannot handle leads or they don't do it properly. There are all kinds of systems nowadays, automated systems, that'll help you handle those leads. First of all, answer them in a timely way. Did you know that your chances of getting somebody on the phone in a callback are 100 times greater if you do it within 5 minutes?
If you call them back within 5 minutes.
5 minutes. If you don't, you know, your chances are that much lower. So there's that, and then there's a whole nurture process with leads now.
Oh, so let's talk about that. And so the reason it drops off pretty dramatically after 5 minutes is because the buyer is doing what? Or the prospect?
They're getting other offers, possibly. You know, they went on to do something else. You know, it's not a priority anymore, but the statistics bear it out. It's 100 times more.
And then we get bored. We get on to some other things. We were looking for an internet service, for a certain type of phone. When I went to the website, they asked for the phone number. I wasn't even finishing filling out the form, and they called me.
Yeah.
Because they knew this was it. I was out shopping, and I was going to buy something. All right.
Right.
So, and lots of businesses don't understand that because they're making pizza or dental office, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
So how do you make sure that, as best as you can, hey, listen, Mr. Business Owner, you just hired me to do this. All right. We can see that the phone's ringing because the people are emailing him. Who's going to respond to those people, and how do you train them to do that?
Okay. So if you have a person in house that's been assigned to this, they shouldn't be, depending on the volume of calls coming in, or it could be form fills from a website, they should be doing only this, and they should be trained to do this with scripts. There are a lot of good companies out there. I don't do sales training, but there are a lot of good companies out there that do sales training. They can also use automated systems that will send them a text saying, hey, how can I help you? And you can send follow-up text. You can send email. So that's the other thing about digital marketing, is that you're going to get hit by different types of media. So, just like you told me, and the whole segmentation thing is, for example, we were talking before the show how you were shopping for something, and all of a sudden you're getting ads, you're getting all kinds of things. And that in particular is called retargeting. It's for e-commerce, it's a very common practice, and there are several ways to do it. But that's how effective segmentation is. They know you've been there. They know you've been looking. They know when you've put stuff in your shopping cart. They know when you filled out the credit card information. They know that you've left stuff in your shopping cart.
And so when they look at it, if they analyze that and they see a pattern, you say, listen, whatever percentage of people have got over to the shopping cart and then they left, and there's something that occurred. Right? Who knows what it was? We do some digital marketing, and we were running some ads online, and one of our customers said, no one's responding to my ad. I go, yes, they are. I said, you had 3,800 people that clicked on your website because of ours, right? But because we didn't go that extra step and say, listen, when somebody clicks on your ad over here and they go to your website, you need something over here
Of course.
that's going to keep them there.
Absolutely.
And so that they're going to do something so that you can buy it. We recognize that was as much our doing that we didn't follow through in the beginning, right? They think that people are just going to see it and they're going to go through and they're going to call them. Perhaps there's this another form over here, right? Say, and have some connection to the first ad that's there. I know if I'm looking at Facebook and I see, I love following shoes for sale, right? I click on them all the time, trying to make the economy work, right? Looking like that. If you click on it, it's supposed to go for something that's similar to what was advertised and not some fishing boat.
Actually, it should be exactly what you saw.
And why should it be that?
Because that's your expectation. So what happens is we never recommend, well, I won't say never, but almost never recommend that you drive people to your homepage. No, you need to have a specialized landing page that speaks to that particular issue, product, etc.
So when you see it over here, if you go from here over here and it's not there, you say, I must have the wrong thing.
Right. Or I'm not going to take the time to, click through this whole website to find what I'm looking for.
And that's a thing that a good marketer like yourself do for the customer so that they're happier, right? And so we frequently run for people to get a subscription, and we know how to get more, right? And what you realize is that people fill it out. We want to make it as simple as possible for that first step. Sometimes you'll see this long thing, and I see the difference because we have both.
There's a reason for that, though.
Yes.
There's a reason for that. Sometimes you'll see long forms, sometimes you'll see short ones. What happens is the longer the form, so if that person takes the time to fill out the form, in theory anyway, they're a more qualified lead. So, but sometimes you don't need that. So sometimes you don't even want their name, just their email address to get them on a mailing list to continue to communicate with them.
And when we as consumers fill that out, we feel somewhat protected in the sense I'm not giving them all that stuff, but I know I'm going to get some stuff, and if I have an interest, I'll express it some way.
And you can always unsubscribe.
Yes.
And if you put your phone number on there, you're getting a phone call.
Yes.
Trust me, at some point you're getting a phone call.
So what are some of the newest trends that are going on as far as marketing? We have about 7 minutes left, so let's.
All right. I would say the newest thing that, I'm still wrapping my head around it, let alone my arms around it, is this whole metaverse. The metaverse that was created by Facebook. A lot of not only tech companies are buying into this, and it's a whole virtual reality world. There's also augmented reality, which, I'd say it's already been several years. Where it got its big push was this whole Pokemon game where people went out in the street and, they held their phones up and they saw things on their phone that weren't really there. So that type of virtual and augmented reality, I feel, is going to be the next frontier.
So, and if you haven't used an Oculus, what is it?
Yeah, Oculus.
Oculus. So a friend of mine's architect, so
it's amazing. Technology is amazing.
And we did it at our house. So we drew a line so you can walk around without running into anything. And when we moved it after it was a lot of fun. It was almost like my brain went, what is this? Right? And it was easier going in than going out because it's like you can do whatever colors. And folks, I'm telling you, this is really cool. You hold on to these handles with the thing. I am typing in my email address and ordering stuff by pointing.
There you go. Right there you go. So it's already happening. It's already happening. You've got companies like McDonald's has real estate up there, or wherever it is, in the metaverse.
So and lots of big changes going on in that, and people spend their time that's there. And so metaverse is a real thing that people are going to spend their time and their money doing that.
Yeah. AI is also big now.
And lots of people, by the way, don't recognize if you pick up somebody else's artwork or images off the internet, you're gonna get caught.
Oh
right?
yeah,
all right. You're gonna get caught.
You're gonna get caught. You're gonna, you can't be doing that. You can't go on Google, go to Google Images, and just take an image off of Google and use it. I mean, I know people who have been sued by newspapers and other places. You just can't do that.
And I know somebody. So if you hire a PR guy an artist and to put together a brochure, and the image that he uses is not a stock or paid for it, you, the owner of that piece, are going to wind up having to pay the owner of that
For the use of the photo. Absolutely.
Right? And so just don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like facial recognition.
Yeah, and there's plenty of sites out there that you can get free stock images from. So there's no need, or they're very inexpensive.
So here we are at the middle, literally the middle of 2022. All right. Summer's obviously here, but in 6 weeks or so, school will be back in session. We're going to enter our third or fourth year with some COVID, running around. The economy is unstable right now, but at some point, either we're going to get used to it or there'll be some changes. So what's your advice for telling people about how to deal with the ups and downs of life?
Yeah, it's, I don't know about life. I'll tell you about marketing.
Okay, marketing.
I'm just messing with you. No, but I already went through this with the pandemic. Of course, everybody panicked at first. It was tough for a company like City Roofing. They couldn't get permits. So what I told them was, look, stay the course, maybe cut back a little bit, but don't go off air, because what's going to happen is when we come out on the other side of this, you're going to be way ahead of people who just stop marketing themselves. So really, you should never stop marketing yourself. You should always be doing something. Obviously, if money's not coming in, you're going to have to, cut your budget some, but you always have to have presence in your customers and prospective customers' life.
And it's important that our customers know that we are out there. When we put on events and our customers are there, they know we're not promoting us. We're promoting the content of us, which are them.
Right.
And so we knew, as we all went through that pandemic together, just got to be there. Just keep doing it. There will be another side to this, right? And whatever it's going to be, just got to hang on and figure out how to still participate. And then in 3 months or 6 months, whatever it is, things will get easier to navigate.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to pivot either. I mean, I have one client. This is amazing. He is a concierge on South Beach. He, finds housing, lodging, gets you into clubs, stuff like that. And during the pandemic, obviously his business dried up. He turned to making masks and just made a killing making masks, branded masks. So don't be afraid to pivot either.
When I was a teenager, City of Miami garbage men were on strike. I took my father's Volkswagen bus, took the seats out of it. There I am, man, City of Miami. I'm just dumping those garbage cans in there. And I went, how great is this? My mother said, what are you doing? I said, yeah, I'll get the stink out of it. Don't worry. But you realize that you have to be able to operate like that and be able to change it up. And as we did, we look back, we've been doing this, not on this level, but on some level for about 4 years. And then right before the pandemic in September 19, we said, we need to do more of this. So now we have two studios. We have another show going on right now, and it's all working miraculously. Okay? But I'm waiting. The day is young, right? And we're going to get ready to do a third studio with a little bit different venue. So we realize that whatever business it is, you have to be able to adapt. Deli Lane, a favorite here in South Miami, before they would have waitresses that come out and take your order. Now they changed it.
What are they doing now?
You come in and you order it and you sit down. They bring the food to you. So they were able to do it with a lot less people. It's not quite as convenient, but you know what? They're busy, right? People get it, right?
I think that's the main point, is that, people are empathetic with their cause. Service is not going to be as quick as it used to be, just because of the inability to find people. I'm looking for people right now, and it has not been easy.
Yes. By the way, Fish House, one of my favorite places.
Yes.
Our Fish House, they're great innovators. Angela out there. First it was just fish, then it was sushi with sort of fish. And then they have
the poke bowls.
Yes. And the big backroom entertainment. They do all that stuff back there. 20 some odd years, because they've been able to adapt.
Has it always been the same owner?
The whole time. Yes, Angela. And so I call her in my directory, Angela Fish. So I never have to be concerned with that. Very friendly lady. So the point is, I think it's a perfect example of being able to add things and not being afraid to do that. Carlos,
absolutely.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for making the world a better place.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, guys, thanks you for joining us. And Julian, thanks for producing the show. Again, this is Live with Miami's Community News. You need to know something about digital, go to nextmediadigital.com and call us to be able to take care of you. Have a great day, folks.